Hey, Adam and Andy Stans, your co-host Nicole here. Just wanted to pop in because we had a little mishap with the audio recording this week, and the software that we used to record virtually did not actually use my microphone. It used the computer microphone. So big fat bummer. So please excuse the less than ideal audio today. I don't think it'll prevent you from being able to hear what we're talking about, but it certainly isn't the pristine and clear audio that we would like. I hope it doesn't detract from your enjoyment of the episode. We had a really good time talking about The Dead Don't Die, and I hope you enjoy listening to it. So thanks for listening, and let's get right to the show. So, so you wanted to talk about my costume. By the way, those of you who are not watching the vidcast, we are dressed up for Halloween.
Halloween time.
Let's talk about it. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, yes. Will this come out before Halloween or after, or right around Halloween?
It will come out next week on Wednesday the 28th.
Wow, right before.
Right, just smack right before Halloween.
All right. So Nicole, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Nicole is wearing okay, so she's dressed up like what I think of as Billy from Stranger Things Season 3. She has the mullet, she has the mustache, she has the aviator sunglasses, she has the lifeguard shirt, she has the suave
I've got the swagger.
demeanor, the swagger, the she has boobs, which
it's confusing. I think. You know, my husband saw me dressed like this. I actually wore this for our improv show last night over Zoomprov. And Chris said that he's confused because it's like sexy, yes. sexy, and then he gets to the mullet and he's like, hang on. And I was like, well,
it is confusing because
let yourself embrace it. I'll wear it later if he wants. I'll keep this on.
What's so funny is he's attracted to like your body and the boobs, and then like he gets to the mullet,
my boobs do look great in the shirt. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
but I'm like attracted to like the mullet and the mustache and the aviator sunglasses.
Sarah,
and then I get to the boobs, and I'm like, oh, it's boobs.
Okay, so you're attracted to like the top half,
the head,
and he's attracted to like the neck down. That's okay. I'll take it. And Sarah, you look lovely. You are dressed. It's like we accidentally created a theme. You are wearing the Eleven's makeover jumpsuit from season 3 of Stranger Things.
Yes. And I decided to only wear mascara and lip gloss because she's 13.
So let's be appropriate. I am not. Here's something else that can confuse everyone. I've done up my eyes. So underneath these aviators, I'm wearing makeup. It's it's like I'm going for a Tilda Swinton kind of androgyny kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you look lovely in your costume. I think it's hilarious that we didn't really discuss what we were going to wear, and yet we've somehow themed our costumes.
Yes. Well, Nicole just happened to have this costume, and I just happened to have this costume. And
actually, I bought this costume
specifically for this show.
Well, no, not for this show, because like I said, I've been doing Zoomprov, and this month the Zoomprov shows everyone dresses up. Yeah. So I have a bunch of costumes from our sketch shows, but for some reason I had this wig, that we've used. Wig. This is the wig. Honestly, I don't know what show we use this for, but anyway, I've had this mullet wig, and I felt like I just wanted to be this lifeguard, and then Sarah decided I looked like Billy from Stranger Things, and I was like, yeah.
She does, because she has a mullet and a mustache and the aviator sunglasses. However, the mullet, mustache, and sunglasses are
also
black.
I'm wearing jeans, and that's like kind of like his thing as well. I think the jeans, and I don't know.
Yeah. Exposed arms.
The exposed arms, so I can really show off my guns. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
11 in this costume just had her hair down, but her hair is shorter. And I just really didn't. Because like in some of the scenes in different costumes, she has her hair like in a a
She's got like
pony
the
with
pony.
the
Yeah,
scrunchie. I don't own any scrunchies. I know they're back, but
they are back. They're back.
I
They're
don't
back in a big
own
way.
them. Yeah.
Well, I think you look
Yeah.
fabulous.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that we're dressed up for Halloween because it's my favorite of all the holidays, all the
Yes.
celebratory holidays.
You definitely need to dress up on actual Halloween.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I will be dressed up. Maybe like this. I'm not really sure. I never actually landed on a actual Halloween costume, so.
This was supposed to be my Halloween costume for last year, but I couldn't really fit into it. So I was a fox instead.
And here you are
11.
as 11. Um, welcome to the Adam and Andy podcast.
Oh my god, you got it right
I got
because
it right. I
like
said I said the name of the show for
in my
once.
head I was thinking the wrong show. I
Oh,
was
you
like,
thought we were
"Welcome
recording?
to the."
We're also
No.
recording that this. We're recording that this Sunday.
Yeah. Um
We have 2 podcasts, you guys. So some of you guys may have migrated over here from the Feminine Mistake podcast, which is the show we've been doing for the last 4 years. But if you haven't, if you like us talking about movies, we also do another show called The Feminine Mistake. But this is not The Feminine Mistake. This is the Adam and Andy podcast. Welcome to a show
welcome.
where we only watch Adam Driver and Andy Samberg movies and unabashedly appreciate and thirst over these
Desire.
actors. Desire. We unabashedly desire these actors. Sarah, I am super excited to talk about this week's movie.
I am too. It was a roller coaster for me. I
I
guess
know you hadn't
we'll
seen
get
it
into it.
before.
I hadn't
Yeah, we'll
seen
get
it.
into it in a minute. So this week's movie, today was an Adam day. So we watched The Dead Don't Die because it's fucking Halloween and I wanted to watch a zombie movie. So I may have cheated the wheel a little bit.
What's the word? Something the results.
I
She
I threw the results. I
threw the
tinkered with the
results,
results.
tinkered, yeah, something like that. Oh
I
god. Talking. I
yeah,
can't
I
do
don't
it
know.
today.
I literally just finished watching this movie, like moments before the recording started.
Oh wow.
Although I have seen it before, but we'll get to that in a second. Before that, I do have a little bit of Adam and Andy news to share with you.
More news?
I've got just a
Wow.
bit of news. I can't fucking turn my phone on with these aviator sunglasses on. So let me just make sure I get my facts right. Who do you want to start with, Adam news or Andy news?
Andy news.
Andy news. All right, so let's start with Andy news. So my Andy news, let me pull up the thing. Yeah, I was just looking at it. My Andy news is that this week, or I guess over the weekend, I should say, this week they posted it this week, but over the weekend, Andy Samberg was on an AFI Fest panel.
Okay.
It's about indie film. This panel also included Riz Ahmed, Rachel Brosnahan, Winston Duke, Julia Garner, Vanessa Kirby, Elizabeth Moss, and Carey Mulligan.
Oh wow.
So it was it's a panel about indie film. It is actually available to watch on the HollywoodReporter.com, so you can watch the entire panel. Of course, Andy was there talking about Palm Springs.
Aw.
And looking good, looking good, looking healthy. So I'll tweet out the link if you guys want to watch it. I started watching it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing because I had to watch the movie for today. But I did watch part of it, and Andy was charming as ever. And looking forward to hearing a little bit more. I'm not sure what they started out with this weird question where they were like, "So what was the budget of the movie, and how many days did you shoot?" And I was like, that's kind of a weird question to ask an actor. Like,
Yeah.
Andy was at least a producer on Palm Springs, but some of the
Yeah.
actors were like, and I'm like, why would they? I mean, I know some actors would have that information, but generally speaking, it's not really. I hope they ask. I hope they let them know they were going to ask that in advance, because I'm not sure why the actors would be expected to know the budget. That's more of a filmmaker question than a actor question. But anyway, so if you're into indie film and you'd like to check out Andy on the AFI panel, we'll post that link on our Twitter at
Sounds
AdamAndyPod. If you're not already following us, we're on Twitter at AdamAndyPod.
Please follow.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
So that's my Andy news. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. Then for my Adam news, let me fucking turn my fucking phone on again. Hang on. I feel like this mullet really gives me attitude.
It does.
Um. Okay, let's see here. All right. So, well, one thing, the last duel, which was filming in Ireland, is wrapped. So they're wrapped on the last duel. And the next movie, remember I told you about 65, the sci-fi movie where he's
Yeah.
like the astronaut? 65 is going to begin filming on November 16th
Okay.
in Louisiana, I believe. Yeah,
Wow.
New Orleans.
Oh, cool.
So that begins in a couple weeks. So in New Orleans, and so maybe we'll get some more news about
More
65.
fan
Maybe some
shots.
more weird fucking photos. Maybe some beautiful fan art. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll get some astronaut. I also noticed. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my. I'm gonna put my glasses like this here because it's bothering me that you can see the fucking reflection. Oh wow, that just doesn't get any better. I'm just gonna maybe talk like this today. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. After all those pictures from Last Duel came out of Adam like wearing like the sort of knightly, not knightly, but sort of medieval garb, there was just a
Yeah,
huge uptick in just medieval fan fiction. It was just like, who? So I wonder if we're gonna get some astronaut fan fiction coming our way pretty soon.
probably.
Um, anyway, so that's all my news. That's all my Adam and Andy news that I got.
I'm having a yawn fest today. Do you ever get one of those loops where like you just can't stop
Where you're just stuck in
yawning?
a loop. It's the
Yeah.
I think it might be the toxic lunar vibrations.
Oh, okay. Or
Mm.
is it the polar
It might be
fracking?
the polar fracking. It could be the aliens. We don't really know.
Okay.
It's one of those things. I'm gonna pin it on the toxic lunar vibrations.
Okay. Cool.
Hey, segue. Shall we talk about the Dead Don't Die?
Yes.
Um, so I've seen this movie before. I actually have been trying to get you to watch it for a while now. I
Mhm.
started watching this early on in quarantine during my what I could refer to as my Adam Driver self care binge. Jim Jarmusch, written and
Mhm.
directed. I've seen a. Have you ever seen a Jim Jarmusch film before?
One of his films I saw
Mm-hmm.
last year, The Last Lo Lovers Left Alive.
Ooh, how was that?
Uh, I was kind of half paying attention to it.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
saw it with someone, who I was more focused on at the time,
Okay.
and I kind of didn't get the full experience. It just felt very slow moving and
Mm-hmm.
moody and dark and dreary,
Mm.
and I was like, I don't wanna feel this way right now." So, I don't know, it
Ah,
wasn't a really good
so you did not care for
experience
the
for
tone
me.
of that movie. Different sounds
Mm-mm.
like a pretty different tone from this. No? Okay.
Not very,
I
no.
mean, because I haven't seen that, but I would say that all Jim Jarmusch films that I've seen have like a very similar tone, even if
Mhm.
they're in a different genre, which
Yeah.
is this kind of uh, character-driven ensemble piece. Uh, very lots of like good dialogue, kind of quirky,
Mhm.
and art housey, kind of quirky.
Mhm.
So I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes. I feel like I've seen there's a couple other ones that I've seen, but I know most recently, like in the last recent past that I can think of, I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes. Of course, I've seen this. I've seen Patterson, which is another film at the Adam Driver in it that we'll probably uh, uh, get around to at some point. I would imagine. Um, so Sarah, did you like this movie?
The first half hour, and I looked at the time, so, like, it was, like, maybe, like, 28, 29 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
like, I hated it. Like, I was
Oh,
like, "This is so slow." Whoever
oh,
edited this movie used, like, 2 to 10 seconds more per shot than is needed. Like, it just was so like, every shot was just, like, way too long. Every breath, like, the acting was
okay.
very, um it felt like they had all been directed to act in a very specific way,
Mm.
as opposed to them bringing their own character and
Okay.
their own, you know,
Hmm.
and but it grew on me.
Hmm.
Like by the end of the movie, I liked it, and
It's definitely a slow pace. I would call it a small town life kind of pace.
okay, small town life,
You know what I mean? Like a town where nothing usually happens.
yeah,
And I think that's kind of the, I think that's the setting. I
hmm
think it's the cultural aspect of humanity that's kind of under a microscope in this film,
hmm
as in a lot of films are about a small town or something very small town like, where it's a very tiny little slice of life. Um, so I would say that this falls into that category.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it definitely did develop, and like
mm-hmm,
certain things like got paid off, and
mm-hmm,
it progressed, and I really
mm-hmm,
did find a lot of it very funny,
mm-hmm,
but
yeah,
just in a very
some really good lines.
subtle way. Like for example, I mean, can I give examples, or do you?
Absolutely. Well, do you want to get into our? I mean, we're already talking about like the things you thought were funny. So why don't we just
Yeah.
yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay.
I
So
actually wrote down a bunch of lines that I thought were very funny.
yeah. So, but not even lines, but there were like entire like concepts, like
Mm-hmm.
um when you're introduced to the characters of, I don't know their character names, but
Well, so one of my things on my list that I wanted to talk about was the characters. So I do have all their names.
okay. So
Um,
Chloe, who
her
does
name
she
is
play?
Mindy.
Mindy, and then
Mindy.
Adam plays
Ronnie Peterson.
Ronnie. Okay, so when they introduce them, they introduce that she drives a Prius and he drives
Mm-hmm.
a smart car. And
Okay.
then there's a scene where the smart car like comes in and
Adam
parks.
Driver stuffed into a tiny car
And
is
that's
one
one
of
of
my
my
all-time
moments of thirst.
favorite moments in any movie starring Adam Driver is
Yes.
Adam Driver stuffed into a tiny car. Is like
Speeding into a parking spot.
speeding into the parking lot and somehow getting out pretty
Yeah.
gracefully. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how they crammed him into that tiny smart car. I don't know what it was like for him. I don't know how many hours he had to spend inside of it, but it
It was,
was
but that was a
amazing.
great moment when like you see
Hmm.
this smart car come in and you're like, oh, that's the character, and then the Prius comes in,
Hmm.
and the whole scene is like the
And they
three
talk
of,
about the Prius, and they have a
yeah,
whole conversation about it later. It's like
yeah,
everything that gets set up it's not there by accident. It's all
yeah.
part of the yeah.
The details are great.
Hmm.
I love when directors
Well, do you remember what
pay attention.
Dean the well, he works for Woo PS, but we'll get to that in a second. What his he says like he's leaving the gas station
Let me see.
and Bobby
I wrote it down.
asks him for wisdom.
The world is perfect. Appreciate the details.
Appreciate the details.
Hmm
Hmm.
Very interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
and so that scene I thought was brilliant. How they each walked in, and we
Hmm.
saw the same two shots 3 times. Like they walked in, they looked, saw
Yep, and they
the
all
first
took it in
body.
differently. I love how
Yeah,
many times in this movie that Ronnie says that's gross or whatever he
yeah,
says, or
yuck. He says
he's like
yuck.
yuck. Yeah. Because it's like I feel like people
I
would react to it like
love
that.
it. I love it. I love,
Um,
like, who says yuck? Like, what adult says yuck? Just thought it was very cute.
Okay. I think we're already doing it. So one of the things on my list here is I would just love to talk about each, like kind of just run through, maybe we can spend more time on some than others, the characters.
Yeah,
And I feel like we can do this in groups because they're kind of grouped. So we're already kind of talking about the cops. So we've got Cliff, played by Bill Murray. We've got
Bill
Ronnie
Murray, great.
Peterson, played by Adam Driver, and we've got Mindy, played by Chloe Sevigny. Um, so Cliff and Ronnie, yeah, they're very subdued. I think Ronnie seems like he's very by the book.
Hmm
But he seems like he has like he's unusually adept at dealing with zombies.
Yes, freakishly.
Like he's like, I feel like I feel like it's like he probably should have survived this, but
Yeah, and it felt like one of those things where like someone, like someone's your friend, and then all of a
mhm,
sudden you both have to deal with death, and like
mhm.
that person's like really good at dealing with it. So you're like, are they like a sociopath, or like
I mean, there were
how can they
moments where
deal with
Ronnie
it?
was very like insensitive of other
Yeah.
people's feelings.
Yeah.
So we got the cops. I enjoyed them a lot. Loved the relationship between Bill Murray and Adam Driver's character. I
Mhm.
love the first scene where they're looking for Hermit Bob,
Yeah.
and just like you can really see the differences between them, where like Cliff is more like compassionate and understanding, and even like maybe a little laid back. Maybe he
Yeah.
understands the people in the town a little bit more. He has a little bit more history. And Ronnie's like very much by the book. Like he wants to bring in, got to
Yeah.
bring in Hermit Bob,
Yeah.
and yeah, and he seems almost analytical in his
Mhm.
like emotional distance from everything that seems to be going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And then Mindy
Yeah.
seems to be the more sensitive one.
Uh, yeah, it was weird. Like Adam kind of like even though he always tends to bring something really interesting to the roles he plays, like I felt in this well, like I had previously said, I feel like every actor didn't get to bring their full self to the
Mm.
roles. I feel like they were all muted.
Mm.
I think
I
that
don't
was
know.
a
Steve
style.
Buscemi was fairly Steve Buscemi, I felt like.
He was the only one that seemed like himself.
I think Ronnie Peterson is just not an intense, like, I don't think he has a lot of intense emotional levels.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he doesn't, at no point does he really yell or get upset.
No.
There's comedy in that.
Mhm.
And I'll point out one moment specifically. I don't want to jump. Obviously, I'm jumping to the end. I don't want to talk about the end. But when Mindy is in the car, in the back of the cop car, and she's
Mhm.
like, "I'm gonna go be with my grandma," and she like gets out of the car,
Yeah.
like they've shared sort of a connection.
Yeah.
Ronnie and Mindy. Ronnie doesn't get upset. He doesn't cry out for her. He doesn't. He just like she gets out and he locks the door behind her. And there's something very funny about that to me, like that. There's lots of other moments like that. The way he deals with the whole situation, the way he just very casually says when Cliff is like, "What do you think happened at the diner? What do you think happened in there?"
Mhm.
And he's like, "I'm thinking zombies." Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so, but it's like I think it. Have you spent a lot of time in like a small town? Have you ever spent time in a small town?
I've been to small towns, but I haven't lived in any. I mean, I lived in Athens, and I wouldn't call that a small town.
I mean, I don't live in a small town, but my husband is from rural Virginia, and we go there every Christmas. Obviously not this Christmas because of COVID, we're going to be staying home. But we go every Christmas and we spend like a week there. One time I think we even spent 2 weeks there. And I honestly feel like this, I'm talking a small town where it's like there's like one like area where all the stuff is in like basically within a radius of like 4 traffic lights. You've got your
Mhm.
grocery store and your fucking Walmart, and then it's all like kind of in this place in this movie is even smaller than that. But I honestly feel like I can see where he was going with this vibe of like everything is very understated. Even when the stakes feel really high, the emotions feel kind of even. I totally get that vibe. And I feel like I could see people reacting that way in one of these just small town America places where they're just like, oh, zombies, Am I right? And there are people that get upset. Like Mindy gets very upset about what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Really the one who gets the most emotional, the most upset, which I
Hmm.
didn't like. I understand that like women on the whole, like in
Hmm.
general, do tend to be more emotional, but she was like one
You
of
didn't like that the lady cop was the emotional one.
yeah, I
I
guess.
get that, but then I think about, and here's the next person I like to talk about. But then it's not like everybody in the movie is like that. Like I think the kids, the correct kids in the correctional facility are very, or whatever it
Yeah.
is, the juvie or whatever, were
Yeah.
very resourceful and
Yeah.
grounded. And Tilda Swinton is the biggest
Yes.
badass in this whole
Yes.
movie.
Yes, and she's very grounded, yeah.
Well, she's not grounded; she's very weird. But
Well, I'm just saying she's not, like, emotional.
she's yeah, but yeah, she's not she's adept. She's
Yes.
efficient at handling the zombie. very adept at dealing with the undead, as she says.
Yes.
So yeah, let's talk about Zelda. So Zelda is like the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Calls everybody by their full first and last names.
Yes.
Like, the first time I watched this movie, I thought she was a little strange, but now that I watched it the second time, knowing that she's a fucking alien, I was like, oh, I see it. Like, it's the way she moves. Like, it's down to, like, I swear to God, if you watch this movie again, you'll pick up on so many details. Like, there's a lot to take in because there's a lot of characters at first. But the way that Tilda Swinton walks down a sidewalk in this movie, she walks down a sidewalk and then her whole body all at once turns when she has to change direction. It's very strange and stilted. Like, her body doesn't know how to move inside of a human body, but it's so subtle that it doesn't draw attention to itself unless you're like noticing it. It's pretty incredible. The way she talks, the way she says, like, you know, she's talking to Mindy and she's like asking if Mindy and Ronnie are together, and Mindy's like, no, why do you ask? And she's like, oh, just, you know, collecting local information. And it's like,
Yeah.
obviously, because she's an alien who's like supposed to be researching. Anyway, so I honestly could watch a whole movie. I could watch a whole movie about Zelda.
Yeah, I wanted more Zelda. Like the very first scene she was in, it was very dull. Like where she was just like swinging her sword around, and I was
Oh, I
like,
loved that scene.
but I was like, what are we supposed to get from this? Just that she has a sword? Like I just didn't get. There was like nothing going on her face, and I just was like,
I mean, come on, that scene where she's like giving the tennis couple drag makeup.
that was amazing. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
okay, this is amazing.
She's like, are you in on this together?
Their eyes kept opening and she kept closing them, and then they got up
And
and
then
she
she
like
like cut
cut
their
off
heads off.
both
Oh
heads.
God, that was so
It was
fucking
great.
cool. I want a sequel to this movie starring that character.
Yeah, agreed. And then she came to the precinct, and like one of them asked her, "Can you like, you know, answer the phones and run the computers and stuff?" And she turned around and looked and was like, and said something like, "Yes, I can.
She's
Like
like,
it
no
shouldn't be a
problem.
problem." Yeah, and I'm like, great. So I can be a cop then. I can just like walk into a precinct and
Well, she
use
also
their
convinces
computers.
them there's a full-blown zombie outbreak. They never should have left that station.
Yeah.
There's a full-blown zombie outbreak and they're just driving around in the car, and she tells them
Hmm.
to meet her at the cemetery, and it's like, ugh, like,
Yeah.
seem like, why would you even follow that advice? Anyway, I mean, she straight up calls herself like a spaceship Uber. Like, she
I
gets on
missed
there and
that.
types super fast. Well, I assume that's what she's doing, is that she's getting on the computer to call someone to come get her,
Okay.
to
Spaceship
extract her from
Uber.
this. Yeah, that's what I thought. The first time I didn't know, but the second time that I watched it today, I was like, oh yeah, she's obviously, you know, hailing a ride out of there, a
Uber
getaway car.
space.
Uber, space Uber, you know. Okay, so my other favorite character besides Zelda is Hermit Bob,
Hmm.
played by
Yeah.
Tom Waits.
Yeah, about halfway, not, I think more than halfway through, I was like, why hasn't he been eaten yet? And then I got it at the end where it's like, he's the only one
Well,
that's not like,
let's
as, I'm
well
sorry.
let's I want to talk about the end like as its own thing. But yes, Hermit Bob is a bit like the Greek chorus character in this movie, where he's kind of
Hmm.
commenting on what's going on, but also on the larger sort of thematic issues or concerns of the film.
Yep.
But I just really love that scene in the beginning where they're like they're there because he's supposedly stolen a chicken from Farmer Miller, who we'll get to in a second. And he's just like, you know, he shoots at them, and then he's hiding and they're about to leave, and then he's basically like, hey Cliff, fuck you. I just think he's so funny. Hermit Bob. I want a sequel with Hermit Bob and Zelda. No? You didn't
No, for
like
her,
Hermit
Hermit
Bob?
Bob,
You didn't like
not
Hermit Bob?
particularly.
I thought he
I
was
I
very
thought
funny.
thought he was a device more than a
Mm.
character.
Okay. All right, so we've got we've got Farmer Miller, played by Steve Buscemi, who I think represents
Great.
a very specific segment of the American population.
I liked his character. Yeah.
I wouldn't like him in real life for sure, like that
No,
character. He's
no.
wearing a hat, or one of those red MAGA hats and it says "Make America White Again" on it.
I didn't catch that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
He's wearing it the whole time he has a conversation with Danny Glover at the counter.
I totally missed that. Oh my gosh.
And then there's that awkward moment where the waitress asks him if he wants more coffee, and he's like, "No, it's too black for me." And then he looks over
Yeah.
at Danny Glover, and Danny Glover's like, "Ugh." And he's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's too strong." And then it's just like he gets out of there.
Yeah.
So he's like the white, Trumper guy.
Yeah.
I have to say, it was very satisfying to watch him get eaten to death by zombies, and the Herman Bob got a kick out of it as well.
That's true.
But also, I think it's funny that Cliff also hates him. Like, the whole time they're driving around, Ronnie is like, "Are we going to stop by and tell Farmer Miller what's going on?" And he's like, "Nah, fuck Farmer Miller." Ronnie's like, he lives
A
here,
citizen.
though.
He's a
He's a citizen. He's like, "Oh, we'll have Mindy call her." And then later, Cliff really enjoys shooting him in the head.
Yeah.
So there's Miller, there's Bobby and Hank. So Hank is played by Danny Glover.
Mm-hmm.
Hank, the hardware store owner, and Bobby is the guy, the sort of film nerd, character. I really liked that actor.
Yeah, me too.
A lot.
What else has he been in? I've
I
seen
don't
him a
fucking
lot in
know.
things.
I
I've
don't fucking
seen him
know, but
before.
I liked him. I want to see more
Yeah.
of that guy. I liked him a
Yeah.
lot. He was just like, I really just enjoy, like, I just kept, my eye was drawn to him.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't doing anything big. He was very like, he seemed very natural.
He just had a very soulful face.
Yes, he had a very soulful face. I just really was, and I was very sad. I remember the first time I was very sad when they got eaten. Why the fuck didn't they board up the second door?
Oversight. I don't know.
But yeah, he's the one you think would survive because he knows everything about a zombie movie, but it didn't fucking work.
Also, can I just say that I love that zombies exist as lore in this film? Like, I feel like in a lot of zombie films, it's like no one knows what they are because they don't have zombie films in that world. So it's like, this is just new thing that no one's heard of. But like, and this is like, oh yeah, we've heard of these. Like,
well, that kind of brings me one of my other points, which is this movie is very meta.
Yes, very.
I actually wrote down all of the instances I noticed of this movie being meta. One, of course, is the fact that in this world, zombies exist, and people comment on the existence of zombies. Ronnie, we already said, but also Bobby is very quick to assert that he thinks it's also zombies. So here's all the ones that I noticed. So in the beginning, of course, they're listening to the theme song of the movie. This movie has a theme song, which is crazy. Like, it's almost like a sitcom. It, like, the strains of the song fade out and then the movie starts. The Dead Don't Die, of course, by Sturgill Simpson. Anyway, the guy who actually sings the song plays the zombie who has the guitar dragging behind him in one of the scenes. Anyway, so they are listening to the song, and Ronnie comments on the fact that the song is the theme song of the movie.
I know.
This was the moment. So I started watching this movie by myself. The moment that Ronnie says, "I've heard this before. You've heard this before because it's the theme song of the movie," I was like, "Oh, this movie is special." And I turned it off, and I waited until the next day because I knew Chris was going to want to watch it with me, and I was right. But that's the moment where I feel like that this movie is not a normal movie about zombies.
Yeah, that was the moment when I was like, "Oh, this movie could be cheesy," or I tend not to like certain, like there's certain things that are meta that are cool and stuff, but that felt like it could have gone in a bad direction. I don't think it did, but that was my like moment of like, ooh.
No, I get you. I trust Jim Jarmusch, so I was like,
and the only Jim Jarmusch film I'd seen before, I didn't like, so I was like,
That's fair. So I trust him. So I was like, ooh, I'm interested to see what he does with that. Like, how far is he going to take this? You know.
Mhm.
So there's the fact that they comment on the song. There's there's just I think in fact the way that they drive through in the morning in the at the beginning of the movie they drive literally through every fucking set piece. Like they
Mhm.
drive past every area where the action is going to take place at the very beginning of the movie. Um there are of course there's Ronnie saying over and over again that this is all going to end badly.
Yeah.
Um the very excessive foreshadowing I would say.
Yeah.
There's blips or the video cuts out and like a zombie movie cuts in for like a couple of frames. Did you see that?
Mhm. I
And
didn't
it's
catch that. No.
yeah, it's like it happens in the movie, but mostly it happens when the characters are watching like the news because they're watching the news a lot. And the video
Oh.
feed gets interrupted by like this stuttery zombie movie footage that looks a bit like a George Romero film. There's a lot of references to George
George
Romero
Romero, yeah.
in this film, including the car and all that stuff. Um, so there's all these like blips where the video cuts out. Um, there's there's a couple of times where the actors' personalities or their persona is commented on.
Yes. Are you thinking of the one that I'm thinking of?
Yes, I'll get to that in a second,
Okay.
but there's a couple other ones. So the guy who plays Dean is Reza from Wu Tang Clan, right? And the name of the delivery company he works for is called Wu PS.
Okay.
Rosie Perez, the actor, plays the reporter character who's delivering
Mhm.
all the news reports. Her character name is Posey Jerez.
Okay.
And then of course there's the big one, which is I'm sure we're thinking of the same one, so why don't you go ahead and say it?
Oh, where A Driver's character on his keychain is
Mm-hmm.
a
It's a
Imperial
Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer, and the person who sees it comments on the fact that
It's
it's
Zelda.
Star Wars. Zelda comments on Star Wars, and he's like, yeah," and he gets kind of like
Mm-hmm.
flustered, and I had to look it up. I was like, "What year was this made?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, so it was made after he was in
oh
those
yes.
films."
Yeah, it was definitely a reference to his
Yeah,
persona as Kylo
yeah,
Ren for sure. So there's all that, but then of course there's the big one at the end, which I would definitely want to talk about then by
yeah,
itself. But the big one at the end is that, they have this fight in the car and Cliff is like, why do you keep saying that I know how this you're no you this is gonna end badly? And he's like, well, I've seen the script. And
mhm,
it's not just I've seen the script, but Jim showed me the script.
yeah,
And I just love this exchange. I honestly, Sarah, I honestly don't love movies that are meta very often. Like I'm with you. Like I don't usually like that. But the way it was handled in this movie, it was very funny. And I think because zombie movies have reached a point where they're like zombie movies have reached like a maximum capacity situation where they're just at least when this movie came out, I think there are
yeah,
not as many now, but it was like every fucking movie that came out was a zombie movie. And The Walking Dead, and it was just like zombies, zombies, zombies everywhere.
yeah,
And so it makes sense that this movie would be like a movie that subverts that, but also calls to other older It's I feel like it's really calling back to all the old like Romero films more than say the new ones, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, but the whole exchange where Cliff is like, "Wait, so Jim showed you the scripts because he only gave me my scenes," and he's like,
yeah,
"After everything I've done for that guy."
yeah. And I've done stuff you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that anyway, those are all the ones that I wrote down. There's probably more that I didn't notice. Listeners, if I missed anything, feel free to tweet at us at Adam Andy Pod. But those were all the meta moments that I wrote down, and I got a big kick out of it.
Yeah, I did think, but by that point at the end, by the time they had that argument in the car, I was like, "Okay, like, this is funny." And I definitely I was won over by the film, and that is very, very, very rare for
For
me
you to
to
be won over.
dislike a movie so intensely for
Mm-hmm.
so long,
Mm-hmm.
and then to completely flip and be, like, cool
Wow.
with
So
it.
you did not like the movie, and then wow,
Oh, no. I was like, "Oh, Nicole's gonna hate me 'cause I do not like
wow,
this."
wow.
But it totally flipped, yeah, because I
It's
think
awesome.
yeah.
All right. So, shall we talk about some more of these characters? I feel like
Sure.
this is a good way to explore the movie because there's just so many of them. All right. So we talked about Bobby and Hank, Zelda, Farmer Miller. There's Danny Perkins, the weird middle-aged motel guy. You're wrinkling your nose. What did you think of him?
I forget who that is. That
He was like
doesn't
the
ring a
motel
bell.
owner, and he was kind of balding, and he had all the cats. His cats had disappeared, and he ends up getting his like entire back gets eaten, and also his butt cheeks. I noticed that they eat his butt cheeks. The zombies did. He's the one wearing like the blue polo shirt. He works for
I
the motel.
don't remember this
Wow,
guy
that's crazy,
at
Sarah. Didn't you watch this
all.
today?
I watched it today, I swear.
Wow.
I didn't even have my phone on. Like, I was, like, looking at the screen the
He's
entire
talking. They
time.
talk to him every time they go to the motel. All
I
right.
do
Well,
not
moving
remember
on.
this character.
Danny didn't.
Wait, hold
Danny was
on.
just like kind of your stock like middle-aged guy character. I don't know. He seemed kind of sweet though. I thought he was kind of sweet. I was not surprised to see him get eaten.
Yeah, basically everyone got eaten in the end,
Except for Hermit Bob.
except for Herman Bob, yeah.
Um. Okay, moving on. We've also got the hipsters.
Yes.
So you're smiling. You liked
The
them,
hipsters from
Cleveland.
Cleveland, right. I thought I just thought they were just funny how, like, just their presence made me laugh.
They were the
Selena
most like
Gomez.
attractive group of
Yeah.
teenagers. It's like the classically attractive group of teenagers that I don't know anybody who has a group of friends that everyone looks that fucking attractive.
Uh, in my high school, yeah, the 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 popular kids were even
Were they
more
though, or
attractive
did
than that.
were they though, or did we just
I have
like
pictures.
did we just make that up in our minds?
No, I have
No.
pictures.
Oh, okay. All right.
They were very good looking.
Um.
Um,
Yeah, they set them up as kind of these out of towners. They go to Bobby's shop. Um. They make fun of him, predictably. And then he and Selena Gomez have like a little chat. I think her name was
yeah.
Zoe.
Zoe, yeah.
They have a little chat about movies and
Yeah,
her
and she
car.
seems to like him, like, but in, like,
Mhm.
a real way, not in, like, a, "Oh, you're so cute because 'cause you're
Mhm.
a nerd," kinda
Mhm.
she seemed to really,
Mhm.
like him.
Yeah, she
Um
was friendly to him, yeah.
Mhm.
And then they get really there's only a couple of scenes with them. They're there. She asks them if she's at the motel asking them if Ronnie and the motel owner Danny and Cliff are there, and she's asking them about the diner, and she asks them for change, and there's this whole exchange where Adam
Yeah.
Driver gives her change. This is a really weird. This is going to seem like a really weird and specific thing, but what I appreciated about that scene is that at no moment did I feel like they were like I didn't feel like he was hitting on her.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of scenes where you could have played it where the teenage girl wearing the short shorts comes up and asks for change, and the guys kind of like ogle her, but I didn't
Mhm.
feel like that happened in that scene, and like I appreciated that.
May may
You don't agree?
I might have projected the ogling just because they were looking at her, and the camera too as
I
it
think the camera looked
followed
at her
her.
butt as she walked away, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel the exchange between her and Adam Driver, him giving her change. There didn't seem to be any. He didn't seem like he didn't give her any weird like.
Yeah, he seemed to be more, like,
There was no heat there.
endearing.
Yeah, he just seemed like he was just trying to help out. I
Yeah.
honestly didn't see any of that from Bill Murray at all.
No.
If anything, maybe Danny, when Danny's like, "Oh, they're from Cleveland," there was maybe
Yeah.
something a little bit there, but
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like they were creeps
Yeah,
about
no.
her, which I appreciated because she's a really young woman,
Yeah.
and yeah. Anyway, I know it's a small thing, but it's something that I really noticed this time is how I guess innocuous, I should say, the exchange between her and Ronnie is when he gives her the change. I appreciated that moment of innocuous humanity. Thank you, Jim
Yeah,
Jarmusch.
actually, that was one of my moments of thirst too,
Oh
because
well,
it
let's
was
hang on to it. Let's hang on to it. Well, because we give our moments of thirst at the end.
okay.
Unless, how many do you have this time?
3.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, because I want to hear about them all at the same time.
Okay.
All right. I think that just kind of leaves us with the kids at the correctional facility.
Yeah, I liked them. I
I did
liked that
too.
whole thing. I liked
Yeah.
how that's something else, like, in the the details, how the boy always, like, snuck his way back into the girls'
I like that a lot.
section, and he just was
God,
always there.
those guys at the place were just dicks. Like the guards or whoever,
Mhm.
this orderlies, or I don't know what their job was. The
Big
guards,
dicks.
I guess.
Yeah.
They were fucking dicks.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah.
I did like those
But the
kids.
kids
They
were
were kind of
cute.
the Yeah, they were like they gave us, it was a little bit of giving us some exposition, but they were kind of like the, again, like another point of view of like watching from the outside of like how this whole thing is playing out, and the kid who's like uh it's zombies. Like then yet another
Yeah.
kid who was just like it's the undead, like that's another
Yeah.
character who's like, I think that character's name was Geronimo. And we never really see what happens to them.
No, we
They
don't.
survive the correctional facility. They should have stayed in the fucking closet until morning, honestly. I don't know why they left. Why do people leave? If you are locked up tight in a place during a zombie outbreak, fucking stay put.
I don't
Stay
know.
put.
Like, I would prefer to be attacked in a field than, like, in a
But
claustrophobic
Sarah,
place.
they had two doors up between them and the zombies. The zombies were not able to break the window. They were safe inside. I feel like they were safe in that supply closet. I think the zombies may not have even known they were there. But I was as a mother, I was very concerned about that. Also, sidebar, did not care for the child zombies. Made me very upset.
No.
That
No,
made
no,
me
no, no,
super
no.
upset.
'Cause that scene came soon after you learned to kill zombies as you cut off their heads, and so I was imagining all these kids, like, having their heads cut off, and I was just like,
very glad they did not give us that.
yeah, no. I was like, "No."
I think that's pretty much all the characters. Do you have any? You got some scenes you want to run down?
Um,
My mustache pieces are flaking off.
so there's I guess the first zombie scene is where there are only two of them pop out and go
The coffee
to
zombies. One of them is
the
played by Iggy Pop.
the diner, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they attack 2 women.
Mm-hmm.
And the gore is excellent.
Oh yes, and again, it reminds me very much of like Romero gore.
I haven't
Like
seen any of those.
the intestines, and it definitely had a modern look, but it definitely, I think, calls back to that. Well, I guess all zombie movies really love a good entrails shot, so I guess I can't specifically apply that to Romero, but he started it.
So that was a good scene. I think that the way that the zombies moved was very interesting, and the way they, like, drank the coffee or
Where they
didn't
just
drink the
kind of poured
coffee,
it on their
just poured
faces.
it, yeah, and, like, their
Coffee.
the makeup and, like, I also loved how the zombies talked, like, not just them, but, like, all the zombies, like, said words and stuff, and
Yes.
I thought that everyone's zombie voice was very interesting. Like, for example, that, Chardonnay, that woman.
Chardonnay. That was Oh fuck! I mean, I know exactly. That was Carol Kane.
No!
Yeah, that was Carol
Oh
Kane,
my
who we just recently
god!
watched on our other show, the Feminine Mistake podcast. We did the Princess Bride, which she's also in. But yeah, that was Carol
Oh
Kane.
my god.
Chardonnay.
Oh my god.
That was great. I love where.
Loved it. She's so sweet, though. She's like, "Chardonnay?" And
Well,
he's like,
she would have fucking. I'm sure
I
she would have
know.
torn their throats out for some fucking Chardonnay. I love that in that first scene, he's like covering her upper body, and he's like, "Oh, Melody, even dead, you reek of cheap Chardonnay."
Yeah. I know, that was a great one.
Okay. I would like to talk about how, and I remember when Chris and I watched this at the beginning of this pandemic, it was around March or April. I don't know. Time has no meaning in this place. I remember then and now thinking this movie feels very prophetic. Because of course this came out in what, 2018, 2019?
2019.
2019. Man, that was a big year for Adam Driver. Am I right? Jesus
Yes.
Christ. Dead Don't Die, Marriage Story, Rise of Skywalker. God, he was just like, that was like an abundant year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so couple things that I thought really reminded me of what's going on, with the pandemic and everything. First of all, there's the fact that early on they're talking about fracking and all that stuff, and they have experts, quotations on, saying that there's nothing wrong with it, it's not dangerous, and they're talking about, are you going to believe scientists over these people? So there's like the which of course was something that was going on at the time, even before the pandemic. There's this whole like denial of science. So that was a big part of the movie. There's also the misinformation.
Yeah.
Where they're like, Ronnie and Mindy and Cliff are literally standing, looking out the window of the police station, watching zombies walking down the street. And the news reports say this is happening globally. People believe that marauders are gathering in cemeteries and then going out and killing people. And it's like, that is absolutely not what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's just misinformation that's being spread. And why is it being spread? Is it being spread because people like don't know and they're just reporting without the facts? Or is it because they're not giving the public the facts because they don't want the public to freak out,
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, something that really hit me very deeply was when Mindy is, and this is in the same scene, Mindy's like,
I think I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, keep going.
yeah, she's like, I feel like I want somebody to tell me that this is all just going to go away like a bad dream.
I wrote that
And
exact same thing down. I was like, that feels like right now. Like I
it feels
wish.
like it, and it feels like the way people want to see the pandemic as like a bad dream that's just going to go away.
Yeah.
And Ronnie's like, yeah, I don't think so. And then she starts crying, and he's
Yeah.
just like,
I almost started crying. I was like, no, please. It does. We're in the zombie apocalypse,
I mean, at
Nicole.
least we're not being eaten alive by zombies. It could be worse.
True.
Like, I mean, there is I think the same rules apply to COVID and to a zombie outbreak. Stay in your fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your fucking house.
I thought you were about to say kill the head. I was like, no.
Oh gosh. Oof, that's dark.
No. Yeah.
Oof. Oof. So anyway, so that was just something that resonated with me about this movie, was the way that the outbreak of zombies is handled and how similar it feels to what's going on.
Yeah, and of course
right
this
now.
was like before. This was
Right.
made well before.
So he knew that this was how it was going to go down.
This is all going to end badly.
This is all going to end badly. God, I'm glad I don't have I have a Ronnie Peterson in my life, and that's Chris, my husband, who basically says that every morning about COVID. This is all going to end badly. He's like my Ronnie Peterson. He needs to I need a little hope, a little bit of hope in my life.
I wish I could be that hope, but I have my own.
I know you're a very Ronnie Peterson type as well. I think I'm more of the Cliff type. I feel like if you and I were a buddy cop team, I feel like you'd be the Ronnie and I'd be the Cliff.
Yeah. And I'd be the Mindy too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm like a combination. I'm like, I put on the Ronnie, but inside I'm the Mindy.
Yeah, I don't see you macheteing zombies. That doesn't seem like your style.
Oh yeah, that scene where he just like cuts off the hipsters' heads.
Yes. I'm not going to get too deep into it because it's one of my moments of thirst, but yes. I mean, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's an intense scene. Where he chops the heads off of the hipsters.
Oh, and also, like, the song, "The Dead Don't Die,"
Hmm.
like, they carry that throughout the whole like, they listen to it multiple times. There's, like, a CD that gets, like, passed around, like,
Yeah, he
it's,
picks
like
up the CD off
and
of
they
Zoe's
say the
bed.
name of the artist, like, over and over and over
Sturgill
again.
Simpson. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. All right. What else you got on your list?
I mean, it's interesting because, like, you've said some of the things that I had on my list
It's
too,
like
and
there's
I
so much that happens in
yeah,
this movie. I was like, I feel like you literally just need to go through each character and what happens to them because there's just
yeah.
so much fucking shit that happens in this movie.
So
Little
I
moments.
guess,
It's filled with little moments.
um I guess can we talk about what the zombies mean, or do you have anything else
Actually, that's
besides that?
great. The last thing I have on my list is the ending slash
Mhm.
what does this mean?
Yeah.
So if you want to just go right straight to there, I think that that's a good place. And then
So
we
it
can talk about our
ends
moments of thirst after
in
that.
a cop car with
Yeah.
Mindy, Cliff, and Ronnie,
Mm-hmm.
and Mindy, like, sees her grandma and
Mm-hmm.
essentially kills herself to, like, she just,
I
like,
think
"I
she
wanna
just I feel like
join."
she just flips out. Like I
Yeah.
think Mindy just like cannot cope with this situation that they're in.
Yeah, and so she goes out to
She's like,
join her
"Grandma, I'm
grandma.
coming,"
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of funny.
And I thought, like, so instead of she, like, closes the door behind her too, like, she doesn't let any of the zombies kind of climb their way in. I thought that was
Well,
very
no, she does actually. I watched this very closely because I was like, "How does that
okay,
door get closed?" She does not close the door. She gets overwhelmed by zombies, and the zombies kind of bump into the door, and it gets closed.
convenient.
But the moment the door closes, Ronnie's like, "Click, click," locks her out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and then they had and
a
then Cliff
pragmatist. I feel like that's the word I'm looking for to describe
yes,
Ronnie. He's a pragmatist.
he is.
He's the
He
consummate
is.
pragmatist.
Yeah. And so then the two of them have that talk, like, "Well, I saw the script. I read the whole script,"
Yeah.
and then we see, um a UFO, some kind of
Mm-hmm.
alien spacecraft
Mm-hmm.
hover down, and Bill Murray's like, "Was this in the script?" And Ronnie's like, "No,
Not in the one that I read.
no."
Which again, I love. Like this is what I love about
Yeah,
what Jim Jarmusch did with this. Like he decided to say, I'm going to make a zombie movie, but I'm also going to comment on zombie movies. But the way he does it is so funny.
yeah,
It's not a winky movie about filmmaking. It's a winky
mhm,
movie about something we love, which is zombie movies, which is
mhm,
something we can all enjoy. That's what I don't like, I think, about meta movies is that it's
mhm,
not meta movies are for people that make movies. And it's like, who fucking wants
mhm,
to watch that? Like, meta, this is more about a love of zombie movies and kind of the message of a zombie film of a Romero zombie film, which is that the zombies kind of represent the like consumerist horde. That's kind of what Romero zombie films have always been about. And I think that this is kind of what he's going for here as well. But yeah, I absolutely love that scene as well when they're talking about how even Ronnie gets surprised by the UFO.
yeah, which makes sense because why would that be in the script? Like, that shouldn't be in the script,
So you
so
don't think that that was in the script? I always thought it meant that Jim just kept that from him as and didn't give him. He thinks he's read the whole script, but he's missing that part of the script.
okay.
But
Well,
you're
of cour
saying that the UFO is happening outside of the meta story, and just
maybe.
that's interesting. Actually, that's very
Because
interesting
it
because I
doesn't
hadn't
fit.
considered that.
It doesn't fit with anything else.
It's
However,
true. It
it could
doesn't fit with a normal zombie
but it
movie. You're
but
right.
it could be that Jim kept it from him because it didn't fit, and it would just confuse him the whole time.
Hmm.
Because he'd be like, "Why was there, why is there gonna be a UFO at the end? That makes no sense." And then, like, it would get in his head, and he wouldn't perform as well.
But I love what you're saying. I love the idea of what you're saying, which is that there's the movie, and then there's the
Mhm.
world outside of the movie, and that world is this. It has things that occur that are out of the movie's control, like the alien spaceship. I actually
Yeah.
love that a lot.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's definitely what I thought.
I think this also again plays into the use of actors' personalities, or I
Mhm.
shouldn't say personalities, actors' public personas as a sort of something to comment on in the movie, which is that
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton's often been referred to as like having this androgynous sort of alien appearance.
Yeah.
And they actually had that CGI effect. I don't know if you noticed when she's being carried up, where her face kind of transforms into that classic. There's a name for it. They're like the sort of bald aliens with the green skin. Anyway, that
Yeah.
classic alien look. It did like
Yeah.
kind of transform her face into that slightly.
Yeah.
So I think that was again another sort of nudge about Tilda Swinton and her sort of
Mm-hmm.
persona.
Yeah, and then how Ronnie and Cliff killed the zombies at the
Mm-hmm.
end. Cliff, played by Bill Murray, is very
Mm-hmm.
like bumbling and kind of goofy,
Mm-hmm.
and Adam Driver's character is like a
I mean, he
Kylo
is
Ren type
fucking
thing.
hossing out. Like he
Yeah,
like had military training or some shit.
yeah,
Obviously, we know Adam Driver was in the military.
yeah,
We know that. But yeah, he is just like fucking destroying those zombies without
yeah.
mercy. He doesn't even seem to. I mean, there's a moment that he pauses when they see Mindy, but like
Hmm.
Bill Murray, like Cliff genuinely has feelings for the people even as
Yeah,
zombies.
yeah.
Like
Like he doesn't kill Hank.
he can't kill Hank. I love that moment because he's like, I just can't do it. I'm so sorry, Hank. And Hank kind of like gently waves at him
I
very
know.
subtly
So cute.
before walking away,
Yeah.
like, see you later. I really love that.
Yeah.
And Cliff gets very upset when Ronnie beheads Mindy.
Yeah.
And Ronnie's just like shrugging, like, what?
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah.
zombie. I don't know. Um, God, they never should have left that station. That was bad. That was a bad
But
move.
but he read the script. They were supposed to leave the
That's true. There is
station.
this sense that there's just like and I think the whole movie, there's this sense that there's nothing, like it doesn't matter what you do, like the movie's going to end the way that it's going to end.
And isn't that just like life?
Well, I mean that's kind of the point, right?
Like we've all read the script.
I mean, we haven't. I haven't read the
I know.
script. Did you read the script? Because they didn't give me the script.
I've read the whole script.
Fuck.
Jim gave me the whole script.
Well, he only gave me our scenes.
Well, I'm sorry.
So yeah, they go for broke at the end there.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. They get overwhelmed by zombies. I was very sad when that happened the first time I watched it because I genuinely thought that I thought that they were at least gonna survive. But there's no happy endings in this movie.
Except for Hermit Bob.
Well, I mean, Hermit Bob is so what do you think this means? What does this movie mean? Because I wrote down a lot of lines from Hermit Bob's monologue because I'm trying to piece together. Obviously, there's the consumerism thing, but I think it's more. I think there's more going on than that. Like I know that is, but anyway, I'm interested to hear what you think. Like, what do the zombies represent? What does this mean? Like, what is the ending? Why is the ending so dark? Why, what's the purpose of all this?
I think that, I mean, for me, it just was very clear that it was consumerist, and if you engage in consumerism, it's like capitalism is like destroying our society in some respects.
I
And
get that.
if you are participate in that, it'll drag you down. And Hermit
Mhm.
Bob is safe
Mhm.
because he's not involved in that. So he's the one who's spared
Yeah,
because
I definitely think.
he's out of society.
Yeah, I definitely think there's an aspect of that, like that, and also that Hermit Bob sees what's coming before anybody else does because he's more in touch with the natural world. Like he says, but I think it's deeper than that. I don't think it's just consumerism, and the reason I say that is because I feel like there's not a heavy emphasis on that in the beginning of the movie.
Like
You're not seeing a lot of consumerism in the beginning of the movie, but you are seeing things about
climate change.
Trump and climate change. And so one of the things that really stuck out for me is when Hermit Bob early in the movie is like walking through all those anthills.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the ants are all riled up. They're all riled up like it's the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that immediately made me think of the way that public discourse has become.
Yeah.
And that everybody, even before COVID, has been riled up like it's the end of the world.
Yep.
And it feels like the stakes are so high every day, you know? And people are just literally at each other's throats.
I encourage you to watch the Social Dilemma. It's that doc on Netflix. I encourage anyone listening to watch that because it does discuss this kind of thing, like how we're riled up all the time, and it's not just because of what's happening, but because of what we're being told.
So a couple things that are said in that ending monologue. He mentions materialistic people. He says that they've been zombies all along. He refers to them all having nameless miseries.
Okay.
He calls them, he says they're all reanimated and jacked up just like those ants. So he refers to the ants again. And then he keeps saying that they're hungry for more stuff. So I definitely think there's like a push at the end there to like pin it on consumerism, but it feels like there's a larger thing going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just like a messiness in the writing, because I do think Jim Jarmusch is a fantastic writer and director, but it felt like there was a big emphasis in the ending monologue on consumerism when it didn't feel like that was really. I mean, yes, I know the zombies are shuffling around and they want Snapple and they want comic books and they want coffee.
I think that all this stuff is like a distraction. Like consumerism distracts us from climate change and Trump. And so
all
I
of
feel
it.
like, yeah.
Absolutely. Capitalism is designed to give us things to distract us from what the powers that be are doing. I think that's a really good way to look at that. And I think that is something I can hang my hat on as far as what this movie is saying. Now, I also think that if we circle back to the idea that the way the script is, the movie's going to turn out the way it's going to turn out, and nobody really gets a happy ending. One of the other things that he says is, well, he's talking about how Ronnie and Cliff are getting eaten by zombies, and he's like, what a fucked up world. And that's just, I think that's kind of the attitude of the movie, is that like, no matter what these guys did, this is a fucked up world, and here we are, like you can try your best, but in the end, you're just gonna get fucking eaten by zombies.
And is Tilda Swinton's character like the rich who can like send themselves into space when things get hard?
Maybe so. Maybe so. The Scottish always sending themselves up into space. I love that part where she sees the fashion zombie and she's like, "That's not your tartan."
I love when the zombie's like, fashion.
God, I love fashion zombie.
That was so funny.
So fucking good. So before we get to our moments of thirst, do you have any final thoughts on The Dead Don't Die?
Started off with a no, but it ended with a yes.
And it ended with 2 thumbs up. 2 bloody thumbs up.
Yes.
Is this a movie that you feel like is a good movie to watch around Halloween?
Yeah. Sure. It's a good movie to watch anytime.
Good gore.
Good gore. Yes. I told my friends. I was like, watch this.
Oh, excellent. So you literally told a friend.
Yes, I did.
That's good. I loved this movie the first time I watched it. I was a little baffled by the ending, I think. The first time Chris and I were like, okay, so consumerism, but yeah, sure, that seems like a little on the nose. What else is going on here? So, but I feel like I got a better handle on the overall themes watching it the second time. I loved it. I loved it even more watching it again. Like, I think if you watch it again, you get to enjoy some of the details that once you see what the whole story is, you can go back and appreciate the details a little bit more. And also, it's very funny. Like, it's a very funny movie.
Very funny.
And I enjoy the characters a lot, and I laughed a lot revisiting some of those moments in the movie that were so funny.
Yeah, what's so funny is that it didn't scream funny. Like, if you were to be in the room and not paying close attention, you wouldn't have laughed. But you have to pay close attention to the details to find the humor, which I liked.
Yes. Shall we do our moments of thirst? Our three thirsty moments. 3 moments of thirst. Is it my turn to go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So my thirsty moments. Number 1. Adam Driver's costume.
His costume.
his
Oh,
like local police outfit.
that
I
reminds me.
I'm not
Uh,
into authority figures. I don't like look at cops and be like, "Ooh, that's hot." But it's like someone in the costume department was like, "Get me a cheap polyester shirt, but I need it to drape seductively over Adam Driver's pectoral muscles."
does he have those?
Are
Just
you
kidding.
serious?
I'm kidding.
You're joking, right?
I don't notice them when they're clothed.
Oh, I noticed them. They're all I can think about at times.
Really?
So I found myself very, very heated about that costume.
Did you like that moment when Zoe was like, "I like your badge," and he was like, "Oh,
He
yeah,
was like,
yeah."
yeah.
I thought he was gonna say, "Oh yeah, I get it for my job. Like it's just what I get. Like it's just
So awkward.
yeah,
Again, innocuous, which I appreciate. There was
yeah,
no flirting. The only flirting was really between, like, he did try to flirt with her a little bit by putting her coat on, I guess, but
yeah."
um, the only flirting I think in this movie was between the two coffee zombies. Did you notice the coffee zombie, like, was the girl zombie was like flirting with the guy zombie?
I didn't notice that.
Oh, that was
No.
funny to me. All right, so the costume was my number one. Number two, just Adam Driver chopping up zombies with machete. Like every time he swung that machete, like I just was like, I was like salivating. It was
Wow.
especially, and I don't. What does that say about me? What does that say about me?
You're a
That
woman. You like
the,
a man that can kill things.
it's like the muscle. You could see the arm muscles as he's like swinging the machete, and like I don't I him chopping off the heads of the hipsters and just like holding up the fucking severed head. I don't know, with the hair, and his hair's all messed up. And covered in blood. It did something to me.
Wow.
And I don't know what that says about me as a human being or where I'm at emotionally.
I think our moments of thirst are very revealing. It's very interesting.
I got very hot and bothered by him chopping up zombies. Very hot and
Makes
bothered.
sense. Yeah.
And then lastly, the moment where they step out of the car and he kicks the door shut.
Oh my god. Okay. Yep. I'll say that.
I could watch that on repeat.
What's so
I
funny is
could watch that on repeat. Why is that so erotic? Why is it
but
so
it's so
erotic the way
funny.
he kicks that door?
But Bill does the exact same thing,
I
and it's
know.
not.
But it's funny, and I appreciate the whole thing that's going on. But my eyes are just watching Adam Driver kick that door with his foot just backwards kicking it, and it's just like I had to rewind it. I had to
Damn.
rewind it a couple of times
Was Chris there?
for research purposes. Chris was in and out. He was getting the kids dinner so that I could watch this fucking movie because that's the kind of supportive husband he is. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you with the children. I have to watch this zombie movie and talk about it on my podcast. And he's like, I got you, babe. So he was in and out, but yeah, I had to watch that a couple of times for research purposes, obviously.
Okay, so I already revealed my first two moments of thirst, but
But please expand on them.
let me expand on them.
Yeah.
So the first one is when he's in that smart car and he just
Mhm.
wheels super fast into that
Skids
parking
right in
spot.
there. Skids right into your heart.
Yes. I just thought that was so cute. I like
Mhm.
for me, like I am turned on by cute, like adorable, endearing
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. And
Like
apparently
that
I
actually
am
like
into violence,
sexually
surprisingly.
arouses me.
This cuteness
Um,
arouses you. Okay.
if it's a man,
Oh yeah, of
like
course.
if it's
You're
like not like cute animals or a cute
right, of course. No, I'm not
woman
I'm not applying that you like
or a
cute
cute
animals.
outfit. I don't know,
Right.
like a man who's endearing. Like that to
Yes.
me is
Yes.
like hot.
Yeah.
So that was an endearing moment.
Mhm.
Another endearing moment is when he gives Zoe change. That was my
Mhm.
like a moment of thirst where he's
Mhm.
kind of like that's what
Awkwardly giving her change.
awkward.
Mhm.
Awkward is hot to me.
Mhm.
And third is when he kicks the door closed at the
How
end.
can you not? How can every muscle in your body not clench when he kicks
I
that
was
door
like,
closed?
ah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I did have some honorable mentions. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah.
The there's a moment where Cliff falls into a grave, and he smiles. Ronnie smiles, like, very big smile, and he's so serious in this movie, and so, like, so stern, and so for him to break out into this, like, beautiful smile, like, I think when you get a genuine smile from Adam Driver in a movie, it's like a nugget of gold.
Yeah.
And then also just, like, there was, I think, a moment at the end where they're fighting zombies and they're back to back, and his hair, like, he had just, like, his hair was just, like, floofed over his forehead, and I was like, ugh. So those are my honorable mentions.
So I have an honorable mention too.
Mhm.
I think it's the first time he says, "Oh, yuck."
Again,
Like
with the cuteness.
his line is actually, "Oh, yuck." And,
I
like,
think he said it about the skinned rabbit or something in that first scene.
oh.
When they're looking for Hermit Bob and they come up on the rabbit and it's like there's flies on it and he goes, "Oh, yuck."
I don't know. I didn't hear that one. I think it was the one in the diner that was very
Yeah,
pronounced.
he says it in the diner too.
And I was like, that's so disrespectful to say that at, like, a dead person, to, like, call a dead person.
Ronnie has some social shortcomings, to say the least.
As you would imagine, I'm normally up for pretty much anything in the bedroom, but I can't tell if what happened was weird or sexy.
Should we do some Adam or Andy trivia?
I only have one bit of trivia. It's getting harder and harder to find things.
Okay.
But
ooh,
I think just one. I mean, I feel like I should just do one. Like, I feel like.
And I have to guess. Yeah. You can do one, and I can guess whether it's Adam or Andy. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You
might. I mean, like, know so much about Adam. I don't know how I'm gonna.
You've stumped me.
You
have stumped me before. Also, right. I feel like, Sarah, the Adam or Andy trivia also helps us to give a little nugget of facts to our listeners, which I'm sure they enjoy as well.
That's true. Okay, pets.
Mm-hmm.
This person has a Rottweiler pit bull mix named Moose. Shut up, Nicole.
I know who it is.
This other person,
mm-hmm.
does not like stinky house pets.
Ooh.
And thinks they're stinky and gross.
Wait, all house pets are stinky?
Yes.
Okay, well, Moose is absolutely Adam Driver's dog.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some video of him he's got an interview with a reporter and he's, like, throwing the ball for the dog, and it's just fucking cute as hell. Andy Samberg doesn't like household pets.
He actually has a rivalry with one of his SNL co-stars' dogs. Forget who it was. But he just does not like dogs or cats or yeah.
I mean, they're not that smelly. Like, what kind of dogs has he? I mean, they do have a particular smell, I guess. But, I mean, ferrets are kind of smelly, but geez.
Yeah.
Wow, that's shocking.
Very shocking.
That is shocking.
All right. Also, I'm going to take away your internet and make it so that you cannot search for Adam Driver facts.
I'm not searching for them. They're just, like, ever present in my timeline on Twitter. So, but you have stumped me. I think if you go further back in their history, I think you might be able to stump me.
Oh, you look awesome. Come the fuck upstairs.
Okay.
But wait, I have to warn you about something.
What?
If you come up here, I'm going to tie you to my bed and keep you for at least 3 days. I'm just in that kind of mood.
So, shall we spin the wheel to find out what we're watching next? So, we just watched an Adam Driver film. So, the next one is going to be an Andy Samberg film. So, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can you see my wheel picker?
Yes.
Ooh, I need to update it. Here we go. There we go. So on the wheel of Andy today, we have Hot Rod, The Lonely Island Shorts, 7 Days in Hell, Hotel Transylvania, and Pop Star, Never Stop Stopping.
Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Never Stop, Never Stopping. Sorry, my bad. So here we go. All right, let's spin the wheel. See what we're going to watch next. 7 Days in Hell.
What is that?
It is a short. It's like 45 minutes. And it is like a tennis parody kind of thing. Let me hear. I'll look it up.
I love this one.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, it's good.
So
I can hear myself.
2017 TV short. It's got Kit Harington and Fred Armisen in it. A fictional documentary-style expose on the rivalry between two of the greatest tennis players of all time who battled it out in a 2001 match that lasted 7 days. So that's 7 days in hell. That's what we'll be watching next. All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. I get a little.
Yeah.
I feel like Andy Samberg's mullet in
Yes.
that is very.
Super
Maybe I
mullet.
should wear this again for our next
Again,
recording, just to
please.
honor.
You should.
Honor them. This mustache is getting very sweaty. I don't know how men do it. My upper lip is perspiring in an uncomfortable way. Happy Halloween. Oh wait, before we go, I always forget the plugs. I forget to the plugs at the end. I've lost my ability to speak. Thank you everyone for listening to today's show. We of course are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all those things. iHeartRadio, I think we're on there as well. So if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, that would be pretty fucking sweet. We'd enjoy that. Also, we'd love to talk to you more about these actors and share your thoughts about The Dead Don't Die. So you can find us on social media at Adam and Andy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find us on Twitter at Adam Andy Pod. And we really love talking to you guys about your thoughts about these movies. So please do tweet at us. What do you think the ending of this movie means? What are your moments of thirst? Why don't you tell us your moments of thirst from The Dead Don't Die? We'd love to hear about it. And happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Sarah.
Happy Halloween, Nicole.
Happy Halloween, listeners. Don't remember if there's a zombie outbreak, stay in your fucking house.
Stay in there.